For many people, the primary use of a capo is to change the key of a song without having to retune your guitar. So you can shift the pitch of a song to make it easier to play with different vocal ranges or other instruments. So for example, if I wanted to change the pitch of a song from the key of E to the key of G, I could put my capo on the 3rd fret here, known as capo 3, and play the same chords. So if I was going to play in open E tuning, E, G, D, A, here's how it would sound just in standard tuning. Now, if I was going to change that to the key of G, I would do my capo 3, I would put my capo on the 3rd fret, and when I do this, the capo essentially replaces the nut, and everything moves up however many frets you've put your capo on. So now I can play those same chords, but I'm just moving them up 3 frets because I've got my capo on the 3rd fret. So I would play those same chords, but now it's going to be in a different key, in the key of G. So a capo essentially saves you from having to play a bar chord. And I love bar chords, and depending on the style of music, that may be your preference. With a capo, you can play more open chords, which tend to ring out longer and they sound more pleasing. Whereas a bar chord, I'll play the same progression as bar chords, and you may hear the sound is a little bit more confined, and there's going to be some more string noise. So again, it really depends on the style of music, but I really think a capo can be used creatively in any style of music that you're doing. Another benefit of a capo is that it allows you to play alternate chords in different positions on the fretboard. This is especially helpful if you're playing a song in a key such as B or B flat, where you're kind of having to start off in a bar chord. So instead of having to do that, I can just put my capo on fret 2, so capo 2, and instead of having to play the bar chords, I can just play A and E. One thing to note is that just like a bar chord, you're typically muting the top E string with your finger. And so you want to be sure to be aware of that if you're using a capo. You may hear there's a difference when I hit this open E string. That open E string is going to continue to play. So I usually like to bring my thumb around and mute the E string when I'm playing the A or any of the bar chords that would start on the 5th string. I would just mute that top E string, and then I'd let up on it when I go down to the E, which would be F sharp, and then back on for the B. So just something else to be aware of, to have a way to mute that top string for some of the chords that would normally be starting on the 5th string. So this is where knowing the Nashville number system can really be helpful. I do have another video that you can check out on the Nashville number system. So let's look at the example of Cornerstone by Hillsong Worship. This song was originally chorded in the C of C, but my church likes to play it in the key of B flat. So one option to playing this in the key of B flat on an acoustic is, here's what it would sound like. bar chord city, which again would be fine if I was in a rock band, but in a worship service, that may not be ideal. So what I can do is use my capo on the 3rd fret, so capo 3, and now I can play the song as if it was in the key of G. It is still going to be in the key of B, but I'm going to play it as if it was in the key of G. So this is where knowing the number system really comes into play. I know this song starts off on the 1, which is the B flat, and then it goes to the 4, which is the E flat. Then it goes to the 5, which is an F, and then it goes to the 6 minor, which is a G minor, then back to the 5, and then back to the 4, and then to the 5, and then back to the 1. So I can play those same chords, but using different chord shapes. I'm playing this in the key of G, so G is going to be my 1, C is going to be my 4, D is going to be my 5, and then E minor is going to be my 6, then back to 5, then 4, 5, 1. So I'm going to play it once in the bar chords, and then I'm going to play the same progression again as open chords, and I want you to hear the difference. So there you can probably hear that the playing with the capo is not only easier for some guitarists, but also it just sounds a little bit more pleasing. Again, it depends on the style of music that you're playing and the intent behind it. But I think for something like a worship service, playing with a capo and playing the open chords is a lot nicer. So what's the trick to knowing where the capo should go on the fretboard to allow you to transpose these chords into different keys? Check out the link in the description below. I've included a chart that breaks this down for you and gives you some detail, but your open chords are really your friend here. So G, A, C, D, E, and then A minor, D minor, E minor. Those open chords are really going to be your friends and what you're going to use to make the different chords along the fretboard. For the key of E and A, you're going to want to look at where your index finger would be if you were making the bar chord. So in our example of B flat, my index finger is on the 6th fret. So that's where my capo would go. I would go capo 6, and then I would play as the key of B flat as if I was playing in the key of E. Now that works really well if the root note of your bar chord is on the 6th string, the E string. So really between the F and the C sharp, comfortably on this guitar at least. If the root note of your chord is on the A string, the 5th string, then you're going to be looking at the key of A. So for example, if I was playing in the key of C sharp, my index finger is on the 4th fret. That's where my capo would go. And then I would play in the key of C sharp as if I was playing in the key of A. Again, notice I'm muting the E string with my thumb. I'm just wrapping that around and muting it while I'm playing, just like you would do is if you're playing a bar chord there. Now the key of G is a little bit different. Here you're going to look at 3 frets down from your root note. So in the example of B flat, my root note is on the 6th fret of the E string. So I'm going to go 3 frets down from that. So 1, 2, 3. I'm at the 3rd fret. So I'll do capo 3. And then I can play in the key of B flat as if I was playing in the key of G. So that really works best, again, for your keys between F and C sharp comfortably. Just take wherever your root note is and go down the fretboard 3 frets, put your capo there, and then you can play as if you're playing in the key of G. But again, check out that chart that I've included in the description if you need a quick breakdown. So another advantage of using a capo is if you have multiple instruments playing at the same time, such as 2 acoustic guitars. We had this situation in church recently, and technically both guitars could be playing the same thing, but after a while it starts getting a little monotonous. So you could use the capo on one of the guitars and play in the same key, but be playing different chords in different positions on the fretboard. So let's look at Glorious Day, for example. That song is originally in the key of D. We were playing it in the key of G. So if we had both played in the key of G, this is what it would sound like. So yes, we could both be playing that, but let's say I wanted to change it up a little bit. I could put my capo on fret 5, so capo 5, and then I will be playing in the key of D. So D is going to be my 1 chord. B minor is going to be my 6 minor chord. And then G is going to be my 4 chord. So then I could do this. So I think that helps add some variety to what's being played and just gives it a more open sound. And as you might have realized by now, the farther you go up the neck, the higher the chords get. And so some people like to actually use this to mimic a mandolin. So if I wanted to put my capo on the 9th fret and play that same progression we looked at earlier, where I'm going to play E, G, D, A. So again, it really helps to make it sound more like a mandolin or a very high-pitched guitar. So that's another effect that you could also use. The final tip I'll give you is with some guitars that may not make sense, but if you're going to be playing with a capo, what I usually like to do is put the capo on and then tune my guitar instead of tuning the guitar first and then using the capo. Some guitars, it depends on your guitar, but some guitars tend to do better if you tune with the capo on. It magically might still be in tune if you take it off, but that's one trick that I've learned throughout the years is try tuning with the capo on. Again, if you're on the 3rd fret, then your top note is going to be a G, so you'll have to tune to that instead of the E. So whatever the note is supposed to be, that's what you would tune to, and that tends to work a lot better than tuning first in open tuning and then putting the capo on some guitars. So that's an overview of how to use the capo to change the key of a song, to add some variance in the playing by playing different chords in different positions on the fretboard, and then using it creatively to get some different sounds out of your guitar. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for watching.